Things look swell, things look great. I got the whole world on the plate. Starting here, starting now. Everything's coming up roses.
He was not a man to take life quietly. He was a noisy man in many, many ways and enjoyed the good things of life. He enjoyed a drink, he enjoyed a smoke, he enjoyed the company of beautiful women.
As me and the wife don't get on, it's no secret. She said to me the night in bed, she said, "You're no good to me. I want a man who can hold me like Rock Hudson, thrill me like Kirk Douglas and make me blood pound like Marlon Brando. What can you do?" I said, "Go and fetch me teeth and I'll bite you like Lassie."
We were destined to meet, and I never ever dreamt I'd have another child. And Les never dreamt it, and I think, you know, God must have been a fan.
I must say the hotels here are wonderful. Oh, the food is beyond compare. Oh, wonderful. Have you had the shish kebabs?
Ever since we arrived.
Have you been to the Acropolis?
Never been off it.
He said, you know, whatever you do, just have a laugh. That's all it's about. Have a laugh, because if it's not fun, it's not worth doing. And I think that was his maxim throughout his career, in fact.
Les Dawson was born in Collyhurst, a working-class area of Manchester, in 1931.
It was very rough. When I say rough, I don't mean rough in the fact that the people were rough. There wasn't a lot of money about, and it was nothing to see your mum on a rag and bone cart sorting like that and taking them home and washing them, and you'd be wearing them.
Les's parents hoped for a secure job for their son, but he had other ideas. And after leaving school aged 14 and a succession of dead-end jobs, the young Les Dawson decided to move to Paris to become a writer.
Well, I thought Paris was the place to gravitate to. I mean, it's not really. If you're going to write a novel, you should do it in Bradford, because there's too many distractions in Paris.
He got a job playing the piano. I remember when he first told me about it, he said, I got very upset because nobody stayed and listened. People walked in and disappeared. And he said it was 3 days before I realised I was playing in a brothel and I was a kind of cover.
Returning to England, penniless, Les did a variety of day jobs, while his nights were spent performing in the clubs.
He was playing the rougher northern clubs, you know, where, you know, they say if they like you, they let you live.
I played one the other week. It was called the Copacabana Tropicana Club, Scunthorpe. It was under a viaduct in a blouse factory. You can tell the sort of place it was. They had a bouncer on the door throwing the drunks in.
The club audiences were hostile, and Les was becoming increasingly disillusioned. But his fortunes were about to change when he accepted a week's booking at a notoriously rough fisherman's club in Hull.
On the Thursday, I did the time-honoured mistake, although in this case it worked, of going for a few drinks. And I drank more than I should have done.
Right. This was before your shift?
Yes. That night I got the piano. It's a great pleasure to be in this kipper depot, and found that I was playing off key. You know, terrible things like that. Started telling about my life and how bad things were, and for the first time in my checkered career, somebody clapped in the corner, a little bald-headed man clapped in the corner. I said, "Thank you for clapping." He said, "I'm not clapping, I'm slapping my head to keep awake." But then I started to get a few laughs, and that's how it started.
Les was in increasing demand on radio, television, and in the theatres. He had found his style by simply being himself.
She'd stand there and glare at me like a frustrated moose. She'd fold her arms like two sides of gammon. Mouth like a workhouse oven. She said, "Don't you touch anything of mine. You leave things alone. For instance, that television set, that's mine. It's paid for, it's not rental."
He loved narrative humour, long, extraordinarily convoluted stories, which spiralled off into some kind of surreal world.
If anything wants doing here, I'll do it. One night she went to the cinema. I phoned up and they flashed a message on the screen, telling her to come home straight away. She cantered back faster than the railway horse has been retrieved at the knackers. She stood there, she said, "What's wrong?" I said, "Nothing, the fire was poking."
A lot of his humour came from, obviously, his youth and from his family, or the endless mother-in-law jokes and all the rest of it. Pretty traditional stuff, really, but he just had that extra ingredient.
I mean, you've got a mother-in-law, haven't you?
Oh, yeah. She's very nice. She's got a face like a bag of spanners. She once went for a swim in Loch Ness and the monster got up and picked it in the lake.
One of the things about Les was he was a very, very strong, devoted northerner, and he loved Manchester, and of course he loved Blackpool.
In the early 1970s, Les fulfilled a childhood dream by buying a home just outside Blackpool, where he lived and worked for the rest of his life.
He would sometimes, when he'd be writing a book, he'd say, "Come on, let's get back to normality. We'll pop in the car, we'll have a ride to Blackpool. Put like a donkey jacket on and a cap." He'd say, "Let's get a bag of chips and sit in the car." He used to love to go to these amusement arcades and we'd play bingo. And if he won like a wooden spoon or a plastic doll, he'd spent like 30 quid. But he'd think it was wonderful.
Blackpool was paradise to Manchester. Blackpool was paradise to the young children that were going to the seaside for the holidays. This was Barbados to the working class children and families. And I think that brought lots of memories back for Les.
Tell me something, Chuck. When you went to Blackpool for your honeymoon, were you... This is girl talk, really. Were you Virgo intact, huh?
No, it was just bed and breakfast.
Everyday things made Les laugh. Just listening to conversations of people in restaurants, people on buses or whatever.
I've done nothing today. I've not a pot washed or a sausage pricked. I've done nothing. I don't know where you want to go abroad. They're all foreigners. Foreign.
Oh, but I mean, they've got so much to offer, Ada.
Would go to some of the old places and have a drink. All the old ladies sat there taking a little pinch of snuff, ate, and he'd love to go in. He'd love to, because if you watched him do Sissin, you're seeing these old ladies in this pub. You saw Les Dawson, so you can tell the learning ground.
Les met his first wife, Meg, whilst performing in the clubs. They married in June 1960.
Meg was very proud of Les, no question about that. But at the same time, she had this thing about keep him in his place, I suppose, really. It's not a case of getting too big-headed. Les never got big-headed. She kept the old settee from their original two-room flat. And whenever he got a bit out of order, she used to make him go and sit on it. And that brought him back to, remember where you came from.
It's hard to describe what the wife's like first thing in the morning. But a fortnight ago, she undressed without drawing the bedroom curtains. And a peeping Tom across the road gave himself up.
He was a dreamer and totally disorganised within himself. And Meg was always onto him, organising him, pushing him here, telling him to do that, he must do that, don't forget to do this.
It was a bad year, that. That was the year the wife ran away with the fella next door, and I did miss him.
Meg was the thing that kept him going, because she believed in him, she thought he was funny, and she pushed him, and she was the boss.
I went to the doctor last week. I said, "Can I have some sleeping pills for the wife?" He said, "Why?" I said, "She's woke up."
By the 1970s, Les Dawson was a household name with a string of his own shows. This enabled him to provide his wife and 3 young children with a style of living very different from that of his own childhood.
When he first moved in, he was sat having a mug of tea in his kitchen, just stripped to the waist with his jeans on, no shirt on. And I thought, what do you think then, son? Do you like it? I said, it's great. I was really pleased for him, He had a swimming pool built and everything. He made his house really, really nice. He made a really nice job of it.
Seemingly, Meg did some washing and put it out on the line. Now, the house has quite a big garden. It's kind of on a corner, so you've got more exposure to the road than the normal houses would have, And she's got the washing on the line, see, so she gets a phone call from somebody further down the road. "This is Early Road, and we don't put washing on the line that it can be seen. She went straight in the house, got everything she could find and put lines all around the garden with all the bedding on, sheets and pillowcase, towels and everything. So, but that was Meg, you see. Don't tell me what I can do and what I can't do.
The Dawson family happiness was tragically torn apart in 1979 when Meg was told she had cancer.
When Meg was first diagnosed, there weren't that many symptoms, you know, so it was something that was going to happen in the future, so nobody tended to like panic. When it got to the point where she had the wheelchair, everybody just mucked in, you know. You took her out in the chair and so forth, and it was only the last period that kind of was hard.
He did start, obviously, at that time to drink a little bit more and smoke more and probably sleep less. He was, you know, quite unhappy at the time, obviously.
Meg Dawson died in 1986 after a 7-year battle with cancer, leaving Les devastated.
It was a little bit of a dark time, and I think he came through it. I didn't think he thought there was a light at the end of the tunnel, but there was.
When you're feeling sad and blue, sing roo-too-too-too-too-too.
And you'll feel much worse.
Oh, Les.
During his wife Meg's illness, Les had spent a lot of time in a friend's hotel, where he became friendly with the girl behind the bar.
A chap behind the bar said, "Guess who it is? Look who's come in." Because we had lots of celebrities would stay at the hotel. And I said, "Gosh, it's Bernard Manning." Which Les was absolutely... He said, "Bernard Manning?" You know, might be a little bit in stature, but... no, I didn't really realise who he was until, obviously, I was introduced to Les.
Eddie's fag, he said, "I'm in love again." I said, "Give over." "I'm in love, I'm in love." I said, "Give over." She said, "There she is over there." And this... I said, so just to wind him up, I said, "Not the barmaid." I've gone.
He certainly went younger. He went younger and he lost a little weight and he started to have a little colour in his hair and I said, "Les, what's to do with you?" I said, but he was younger. He felt good. He felt fit.
Because they used to come up here. I mean, I felt like a counsellor, you know, because they used to say, "Well, you know, Meg's not been dead long and I don't want people to think I'm, you know, disrespectful." He said, "But I can't cope with, you know." And
I said, "Well, marry her." He says, "But what will people think?" I said, "It doesn't matter what people think. It really doesn't matter."
He just didn't want me out of his sight. He didn't want to lose me, and he wanted me to be very much with him at all times. I mean, we were together for 24 hours. We even went to the loo together. We would wake up in the middle of the night and, I don't know, our body clock would be the same. We were just together all of the time.
it was a match made in heaven, there's no question about that. They were wonderful together.
I think looking back, when they married, they had about 5 years. I sort of feel that that would have been very much less if Tracy hadn't come on the scene.
Happily married, Les threw himself back into his work with renewed energy, returning to his first love, playing the dame in pantomime.
I loved Les as a pantomime dame. It's not in drag, that's not what it is. They could not be mistaken for a woman in a million years, definitely a man with a frock on, and that was Les.
It fits! The slipper!
His idea of makeup and getting ready for the show was quite extraordinary. He used to walk out of the pub, and his dresser, lovely man, used to have the dame's dress on the floor like a collapsed barrage balloon, and the wig on the stand by the side. He used to stand in the middle of the dress would be pulled up, the wig would be put on his head, he'd put a bit of red on his nose, a bit of red on his lips, and be on the stage in 2 minutes. Unbelievable.
You know, he hated rehearsals. He'd do anything not to rehearse, you know. He'd go through a sketch once and then say, well, that'll be all right now, well, that's it now. We don't want to rehearse it again. He was outrageous, really.
His career back on track, Les began to spend most of his spare time at the family home in Lytham, where he concentrated on his less well-known career as a writer.
He used to say to me, if anything happens, you must always stress about my writing, because I love my writing and people don't take me seriously.
Les Dawson was a prolific author with 12 books published, including 2 volumes of autobiography.
He played the piano every day. He used to cook as well. We bought a doll's house in a charity thing. He dressed all the house and bought all the things to go into the house. You know, he'd be in the study and he'd want to play with that. So he used to get down, he'd say, gosh, we could live in this house if we were this. You'd always get down to levels of... Yeah.
Les became anxious about Tracy after she complained of feeling ill and insisted she see a doctor.
I didn't feel very well, so I went to see the specialist, and I think, you know, with my mother having cancer, I sort of thought, you know, you're always thinking, is it going to be that, or is it the change of life, what is it? And they brought some handkerchiefs into the surgery and said, are you ready for this? And we just looked, said, you're having a baby, and we were absolutely elated. It was wonderful. I thought I'd gone into labour when we were down in Bournemouth, and Les chartered a plane and said, I'm not having this baby born down in the south. So he hired a plane and flew me up to the hospital in Manchester, and of course it was a false alarm. So I had to go back again.
It's such a joy.
Yeah, what's it like being a father again then?
Since she's been born, to be honest, we've done nothing. Look at her. The whole routine, everything we ever had, is just completely disintegrated. She's taken off. She's in the mix. She's the governor now.
He was wonderful because she was so tiny. She was £5.2 or 3 or something, and then she went down to £4.11. She was so tiny, and he kept saying, "God, I've eaten bigger chickens than Charlotte." He used to say, "Oh, don't put her in the cot. When you fed her, just..." And he'd have her in his arms, and he'd just go to sleep with her. Well, he just, because he had very big hands, he'd just have her in his hands, and she slept with him the whole time.
Charlotte, for me, every time I look at her, she just got that certain look, and she has that when she looks down and looks up, and I think, oh, I could see you, I can see Les.
Despite changes in lifestyle, Les still had long-standing health problems relating to years of heavy smoking and hard drinking.
He enjoyed his alcohol and he enjoyed his food. I think if he'd have stopped smoking altogether, it would have helped. He did for a while, but when he used to come here, you know, he used to say, just tell me I'm wanted on the phone. And he'd go in the kitchen and have a cigarette, you know, and he'd come back going, so Tracy couldn't smell it.
I'd say, Les, just have the chip, just have the fish, no chip. Too late for me, dear, he said. I was born when meat was cheap. I'm happy.
I believe in every morning. I wake up, I go 1, 2, 3, up 1, 2, 3, down 1, 2, 3, then the other eyelid. Fit as a fiddle and every artery's as solid as a rock. There's too much rubbish talked about exercise. Sloth is the key to life.
He definitely started to relax a lot more. He thoroughly enjoyed being a dad again. And he became very much a family man, and I think that it was probably this that started then to enhance his career again.
Darling, would you tell your dear mother her bath's ready?
You see, Les would have a good night's sleep and a day's pottering about the garden and being at home. And he'd say, great, ring his agent, is there another show on? He was all for it, you know. He just would charge his body up again, and then he could never have retired.
Petruccini. In the early 1990s, Les surprised his fans and critics alike by taking the title role in the BBC play Nonna, a dark tale of corruption, greed and betrayal.
It was a lovely play, beautifully written play, and I think coming in contact with this marvellous dialogue and the ideas and everything really awakened in him the desire to do so much more acting.
Lunch? Yes, Nonita. What a breakfast. Oh, yeah, all right, look. Here, look. Take these to your room, Nonna. Nonita, love. Come on now, look. Lovely, lovely. Munch. Look, come on now. Come on. Munch.
It was sad that we didn't see more of that side of Les, you know, because I think it would have been a director's nightmare to channel him into it. You know, he would have probably wanted to slightly rewrite Shakespeare. You know, but it would have been something wonderful to see.
He'd gone in and had the medical, and he'd said to me, "Can you know, I'm fine." He was just waiting for some results. He was a bit tired, because I was thinking, you know, going to the doctors or the hospital anyway is stressful. But he was fine. We'd left Charlotte. He'd fed Charlotte breakfast in the morning, and he just said, "Can you get me a newspaper and a coffee?" And when I got back, I thought he was just nodding, because he was a great one for catnapping, and I thought he was asleep, and he wasn't. You know, it was just as quick as that, really. He'd had a massive heart attack.
And I understood that, you know, they would be in and out, because and I was going to meet them in the coffee bar, just in Kendall's, and I'm sat there in Kendall's, and I'm looking over the bar, and there's a small television, and I'm sat there with a coffee, and I saw it.
And just happened to switch the radio on in the car as I was driving along, and just heard it on the news. And I was just devastated. I mean, it was just, you know, unbelievable that I'd been with him like 11 o'clock the evening before. And
I remember one day in getting a very large tax demand, and he said, "Oh, have you seen this?" threw this letter at me, and it was like phenomenal, really. He said, "My God, I'll be working forever," he said, "to pay this off." And he was quite miserable, I would say, for about an hour or two. And then he said, "Come here, Pooh," because he nicknamed me Pooh. He said, "Let's look in the mirror." We'd look in the hall mirror and pull gurning faces together. He says, "Oh, what the heck? Life's too short, you know." And I think that's great when you can do that.
Join us on Friday night for Comedy Rocks with Jason Manford when Jamiroquai take to the stage. That's at 9. Next tonight, though, it may be his birthday, but it won't be a relaxing one, as John Nettles takes his final bow in Midsummer Murders.